for you in Wichita and across Kansas. This is Kansas Today.
It became clear that there were imminent threats to both officers and public. And the danger became necessary, and I made the decision to evacuate the 3rd precinct.
The mayor of Minneapolis speaking out overnight about frustrations after a man who died while in police custody. We'll have the details coming up.
And we're going to hear from local leaders who are now taking note of all this happening in Minnesota.
Good morning and happy Friday to you. I'm Carly Willis. Brett Bagansky has the day off. Gwen Bevel is standing by, and joining us with today's weather is Ronell Williams. And Ronell, it's been a week starting off with Memorial Day. We haven't known what day it is, but we can confirm today is Friday.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I was just thinking that not that long ago. I feel like, you know, of course, with everything going on, but also because I'm sure a lot of people had off on Memorial Day, which, you know, whenever you have that wrench thrown into your work week, kind of throws things off throughout the rest of the week. So I hope everybody's road into the weekend has been a smooth one so far, despite some of the rainfall that we had across central Kansas. Unfortunately, western Kansas not getting in on a whole lot of that rain, but still tracking just a little bit in some of our western communities, really from Tribune down into parts of Syracuse through Ulysses and Hugoton, a little bit closer to that Kansas-Colorado line. And I expect some of those raindrops to continue as we go through the morning, mainly out to the west, not reaching central Kansas as we continue to go through this morning. So that means areas like Hayes, although you're mostly cloudy right now, should be able to continue to stay dry out there, and mild at 59. A lot of us just off to a mild start in the 50s to 60s, some a little bit warmer or cooler than others. A little bit cooler in Colby at 52, 62 in Elkhart, 61 in Hutch, and 60 degrees in Salina. So checking out our day planner for our Friday, continuing to stay dry out there with that chance of a morning stray shower off to the west. Everybody's seeing bright skies by the afternoon. It's going to be another warm one out there. I'll let you know when it turns warmer coming up in just 15 minutes. Carly?
Ronell, thank you. Outrage over the death of George Floyd continued overnight. This is a live look at the scene from Minneapolis. The St. Paul mayor called in the National Guard to help with riots and looting. Protesters have set a number of fires targeting businesses, homes, and a construction site. Floyd's death sparked national outrage after video surfaced showing an officer holding Floyd to the ground while pressing his knee on Floyd's neck as Floyd tells him he can't breathe. St. Paul mayor says he understands the frustrations, but some people are letting those feelings spill out into counterproductive ways, and it cannot continue. Meanwhile, police at the 3rd precinct were forced to evacuate after the building was set on fire. Crowds could be seen earlier in the night getting into the precinct. This precinct is the focus of protests because Floyd died in the custody of 3rd precinct officers. The city of Minneapolis on Twitter urged people to leave the area as a precaution. No serious injuries have been reported.
And people all across the country are expressing outrage over the killing of Floyd in Minneapolis. Tensions are especially high, though, in Louisville, where police shot Breonna Taylor 8 times. Taylor was an EMS worker. Protesters gathered downtown chanting Taylor's name and shouting, "No justice, no peace, prosecute police." Officers have blocked off streets in that area. Some people began smashing an ambulance and rocking it back and forth. Taylor was shot while in her apartment during a narcotics raid on March 13th. Her boyfriend said Taylor fired one shot at officers as they were breaking through the door of her apartment, not knowing they were officers. Dozens of protesters gathered in front of the Los Angeles PD headquarters. Officers lined up outside the downtown building while demonstrators held signs and chanted, but overall they remained peaceful. It was a different scene Wednesday night as dozens showed up for a Black Lives Matter protest and blocked the 101 freeway. Protesters damaged 2 highway patrol cars and burned flags.
Racial justice organizers and activists will unite during a vigil and I Can't Breathe rally at Foley Square in New York City. The mother and sister of Eric Garner will also be there. Garner died in 2014 after an officer placed him in a chokehold during an arrest. Activists have compared the case to the death of George Floyd, also seen in a video saying he couldn't breathe during an arrest.
A group in Wichita plans to rally and march in the name of justice for George Floyd. The Facebook group says that they will meet Saturday at 1 at Wichita Police Department's Patrol North building. More than 200 people have said that they plan to be there. The organizers say it will be a peaceful protest to bring awareness to police brutality. They encourage attendees to wear face masks. They plan to meet with WPD later today to discuss that rally.
Wichita Police Chief Gordon Ramsey is speaking out about the death of George Floyd at the hands of police in Minneapolis. Chief Ramsey says he was horrified when he first saw the video of the incident on Tuesday morning. In a Twitter post, Ramsey said, "In that video, I see a murder committed by those who are violating the very oath they swore to uphold." He says they will look at this case carefully and make sure his police force stays on top of best practices.
They see something that isn't right. They're not going to stand by idly and not do anything.
He says focusing on community engagements is also key to building trust.
Many say the incident in Minneapolis can have a huge impact on race relations with police. We spoke to Wichita City Council member Brandon Johnson on how to avoid situations like what we're seeing right now all across the country.
The best thing that I think we can do in regards to law enforcement is continue to work on those relationships, make sure our officers are getting out in the community and showing that although those things have happened around the country, we are committed to making sure it doesn't happen here.
Wichita's mayor also speaking out about the incident in Minneapolis. In a statement, Mayor Brandon Whipple said, quote, "I believe it's our responsibility as Wichitans to ensure George's death can, at a minimum, bring some sense of realization to the pain and suffering of our brothers and sisters of color endure." He goes on to say, "I will do everything in my power as mayor to make sure something as horrific as what we saw in Minneapolis never happens on our streets."
The Hutchinson police chief is also weighing in, saying these types of situations are exactly what his officers train for.
We talk about the emotions that are behind those events. We talk about things like excited delirium, positional asphyxia, excessive use of force, how officers can cope with and deal with the emotion of those situations and be able to de-escalate.
Chief Hooper says his officers also get racial profiling training before the academy, in the academy, and annually.
In our continuing coverage, the driver of a car involved in a deadly motorcycle accident could face charges. Police say that driver might have been under the influence and speeding. Officers say Wednesday night, Gage Fuqua was riding a motorcycle near 42nd and Seneca when a car turned in front of him, killing him.
A soldier who stopped an active shooter in northeast Kansas says he was just doing his job. Master Sergeant David Royer was on his way home on Wednesday when he saw a man shooting at cars. He said he did the only thing he could. He ran the shooter over with his truck.
I just wanted to get home, get everything back to normal, get to my kids, give them a hug. And then I mowed my grass and ate dinner and spent time with my family.
Spoken like a true hero there, just an everyday average night at home for him. The Leavenworth police chief says he saved countless lives.
In news out of our state capital, the Department of Labor is asking lawmakers for $37 to $47 million to fix the broken unemployment system. The secretary says the agency was taking steps to update the system before the pandemic hit. Once the virus hit, getting benefits out to people became the priority. When the pandemic is over, she says it will be time to overhaul the system.
As we've experienced, unfortunately, with this situation, I think now people understand that we cannot mess around anymore and this cannot be prolonged.
The new system could cost up to $47 million. Lawmakers are expected to discuss it during the 2021 legislative session. Fans will be able to cheer on their favorite sports team without ever leaving their home. We'll tell you about the new technology that allows players to hear the cheers in real time. That's coming up in Morning Media.
Not only tracking drier skies and much warmer temperatures, but also over the next few days, maybe just a couple of weak disturbances skirting through. Talking about all that and more coming up in just a few minutes.